So I'm going to make a recording, but it's on my phone, just so that I can, obviously if you like a recording of it, then it's there, so it's done while the lesson's going on. So just allowing yourself just to begin to soften as much as you can into the floor. I've just been saying in my last yoga lesson that relaxing into the floor is actually a pose in itself, Shavasana, corpse pose, and you know, even if you've got your knees bent, whatever it is, it's good to think about it as being a practice sometimes and not just lying down. You know, there's lots of little things you can finesse within it. And this is what our body scan is about, that finessing of how we are as we're laying in the floor. And the themes of my other lessons has been that of the niyamas, and one of the niyamas is self-study. And I know it might just mean like just watching your words and watching your actions and things like that, but you could, you know, apply this to this whole practice, studying how you move, having that awareness of how you move and how you are. So as we're resting into the floor, you know, don't be like a scientist. I don't need to study and kind of think about getting out rulers and tape measures and thinking, is this shoulder heavier than the other one? You know, do I need to think about being precise about it? But just, you know, think about playing, maybe spot the difference in the body. As you're taking your focus down or up, do you feel any physical differences on the left side of the body and the right side of the body? So be with the sensations that you're experiencing. The softness, maybe of the way that the shins and thighs meet the floor. Noticing the way the arms meet the floor. And so we're creatures of habit. Often the reason we hold ourselves in a particular way is that this is what the brain has decided is the most perfect way of standing. And it might not be correct about it. You know, I know that my body's decided that a nice way of standing is to give myself a lean to one side, and it gives me neck ache and backache. So just show awareness to, you know, the physical tension in the body. You know, your brain governs the amount of tension you've got in a muscle. So I just want you just to find your go-to place for tension, the way that, you know, the place that you often think, oh God, that hurts, after you've been, you know, if you've been concentrating on something. Send your awareness there. Just visualise that area, visualise the bones that connect to that area, visualise the connections through the muscles in that area, and almost speak to them, think about them just be physically relaxing and lengthening and relaxing the grip on the bones. And as you take your focus to another part of the body, we can do that same thing in another part. It might be you've got a right hodgepodge of pressure points in the body. And just think about those muscles loosening the grip on the bones. Just feeling how your bones rest into the floor. Feeling the draw of gravity on those bones. You know, our nervous system, we might not realise it, but it's just bombarded with things like the news plays havoc, I think, on the nervous system. You know, going out into the street and the cars, although it's a lot quieter, you know, our body responds to the environment around it. And just by giving ourselves this moment just to connect to the physical sensations, to the breath, again, just to mentally visualise these muscles beginning to soften the grip, just beginning to soothe the nervous system. move just into our practice. We're going to begin to bring the knees into the belly one by one. I'm just going to move towards my mat now, towards the back of the mat. I'm just going to move my camera, not my camera, my little microphone a little bit closer. And cross your ankles, widen out your knees, and place your hands on the knees. And then all we're going to be do is just begin to gently circle the circle the knees, sorry. Take your time to do it. I'm sure that none of you are rushing. Just imagine you've got all the time in the world to circle your knees. And just feeling, you know, the transference of weight at any given time to the bones in the pelvis. And what else do we feel? Do we feel ourselves leaning gently into our lower back? And do we feel our lower back gently rising off the floor as we bring some weight to the tailbone? And do we feel a circling in the hip joint of our thigh bone? And we can go the opposite direction. Take your time just to feel how it is to go the other way. And we aren't symmetrical. I know we might have got 2 legs and 2 arms, but you know, even if you were to, you know, I don't know if you've ever done it, but you know, stood by a mirror and kind of looked at half your face isn't even symmetrical. We need our quirks to make the body, or to make the face look as distinctive as they are. So the body as well isn't symmetrical. You might notice that one side is favouring moving more than the other. You might find that one side is more active than the other. And then just starting to stand your feet up in front of your hips, so let them find the floor. And just let your hands rest down by your side. So we've got these heels close towards the hips. And check if you're clamping the knees together. So again, we've got those knees, just think about them balancing softly down into the feet. And we're just going to, you know, maybe even widen out your feet, maybe set your feet together. Just play with where's going to be a good place to let your feet begin to rest into the floor. And now without moving your feet, try to pull your heels towards your bottom. And without moving your feet, try to push your feet away from you. And without moving your feet, try to pull your heels in towards your bottom. And without moving your feet, try to push your feet away. And you're starting to notice that there is movement in your pelvis. Do you feel your pelvis beginning to rock? Have a little look at you all. So do you feel your lower back sinking into the floor, and do you feel your tailbone sinking into the floor? And do you feel your head beginning to nod into agreement with this movement? So as you tilt your pelvis, your spine is drawn down through the body, and as you push your feet away, do you feel your head just coming away? That's it, I can see some nice heads moving there. There you go. So just imagine that as you're doing this, that your feet are massaging something. Imagine that, I don't know, what could you be massaging? You could think about a strange analogy that you may be laying on some dough and you're massaging your feet into the dough and you're kneading the feet with the dough. You could even imagine that you're on the back of a beautiful animal like an elephant or something. You just want to massage that elephant gently with your feet. So just feeling, you know, all the way to your toes. How do your toes find the floor? Finessing again, so don't go more vigorously. Again, if you're massaging, it's a gentle kind of pressure through the feet. Again, just think about finessing that movement. And as you're doing this, do you feel again the symmetry in the body? Is there symmetry in the body, or does one foot do more than the other? Have you got independent legs? Can we unify that movement through both legs, through the hips? does one side lean into the floor more than the other as you practice this? So again, these are not all corrections to make, they're just observances really, noticing everybody's got a different way of moving. And then just again let this movement release and keeping your feet as they are. Just imagine you're going to massage this elephant or whatever it is, or that dough, whichever analogy works best for you, you're going to massage it with one foot. So we're going to maybe push, let's think about pushing one foot down and forwards. Keep the knee pointing to the ceiling. And just notice how you begin to lean into the floor on the other side, one hip might lift. And then try to pull that heel in towards your bottom. And just notice how that hip comes back to the floor. And again, you're pushing down and forwards with that one foot, keeping the knee pointing to the ceiling. And again, just try to pull that heel in towards the bottom and just notice how that side of the body leans back into the floor. So it's like you're just doing a one-legged massage, a one-legged knead of the bread, of the dough. And again, keep the knee pointing to the ceiling. So if you notice that your knees are dropping, it shouldn't feel like a twist. If anything, if you were just to notice your spine, do you feel it's actually arcing slightly? And again, as you slow that movement down, does it feel a willingness for your head to turn maybe? Just let your head to whatever way feels the most appropriate. Again, have a little look at you all. Lovely. So again, it might just be nice sometimes just to pause in this and just have a little think about, is it possible to do it again gentler, with more softness, with less urgency? And again, that might just reveal that there's a little bit more, even pleasure and lightness to the movement. So often when we're a little bit tense, you might not be experiencing, it might be the lightest thing ever that you're experiencing, but whenever we're tense, sometimes it just makes it a little bit more difficult. So just think about taking, a long, deep exhale, and again, just notice as you push, then does it feel like the movement is a little bit clearer and more available to you? And again, it's just about finding that softness to move. So again, let your hip relax into the floor for a moment. Just spend some moments just feeling again, tuning into your sensation, what your nervous system is telling you at this moment in time. It might be telling you that you've got, a side of the body. You might just be more aware of the expansion within that side of the body. So then we can take it to the opposite side. Again, show that as awareness to that one side. Just again, try to push that one foot into the floor, and notice in doing that you start to lean the other way. So again, think about doing less is more. Slow the movement down. And again, then try to pull that heel in towards the bottom. So again, imagine that you're massaging something. Maybe you're massaging again the back of the elephant. Maybe you're kneading some dough with that foot. Again, keep the knees pointing to the ceiling. Again, slow the movement down. It might be you just kind of do it a few times, but I'm just going to encourage you again just to be a little bit more gentle with the movement. Noticing that again, as you push your foot forwards, that we're not twisting. Again, it's an arcing of that spine, and as the foot that you're releasing, there's a tightening, a subtle tightening. We don't even realise we're doing it, but that I'm doing my left side, I can feel that side that I'm pushing on, those muscles are contracting all down that side, and the opposite side, the one that leans into the floor, is lengthened and released. Again, as you pull that heel into the bottom, hips come to the floor. And again, we can maybe pause and surrender, and then think about doing it gentler than that. How would we do it gentler than that? So just noticing that soft press through that entire sole of the foot. Again, gently releasing your hips to the floor. And then maybe again just practice doing it gentler than the time before that. Imagine sneaking up on the movement, gradually increasing the pressure through the foot. And again, just allow yourself to return to earth and maybe extend your legs out in front of you just for a moment and feel the ground behind the body. Again, how do thighs connect into the floor? How do we feel the weight of the pelvis into the floor? How we experience the shoulders and the rib cage and the symmetry of the body. Okay, so again, standing your feet up as we did before. We're going to combine those two movements, more of a circle. In Somatics, this is called around the clock. There you go. So if you just want to picture your pelvis and that space between your ribs, so that entire belly and pelvic area has got a massive clock on it. Not like Big Ben size, but one that fills that area. And start where you feel that you're most comfortable from starting. All I want you just to do is imagine that you're that minute hand going around the edges of the clock. And you don't have to take a minute to do it, but you know, is it minute hand? The second hand, there you go. Imagine it's just going, you know, that you're winding that clock on and you can start to feel or sense that hand exploring the edges of the clock. So again, slow the movement down. Notice what leans into the floor at any given point. And I do find this difficult myself, I have to say. You know, some people might find it really easy to do. But notice we've got difficulty. And we could just go over those places where we have the difficulty. Just again, slowly go over it, rehearsing it. And again, it's like the idea that if you know a movement, you do it without thinking, you do it quickly. So I want you just to think about rehearsing that movement and go over that movement a few times. Let the mind begin to know that movement. And you know, you might notice that it skips a little bit, and that's sensory motor amnesia just showing itself that the mind and that muscle have forgotten how to speak to each other. And this place that you've found might be somewhere that you've chronically got a little bit of tension. I know mine is my left side thinking, what are you doing with me now? And I'm just going over it a few times and I'm just getting that brain and those muscles just to become aware of each other. And again, we can begin the journey again, if you haven't already, moving around the clock. Again, see if you can keep the knees standing up. So if the knees again are dropping around from side to side, it would just be a little bit easier if you can keep the feet standing up. And you might then notice that you've got some sensations in your feet. You might notice that again your feet are like massaging that elephant again or kneading that dough again. Just notice the actions of the feet to circle the hips. Just take yourself just to release again, allow yourself to settle. And I want you just to picture that the time on that clock is 6 o'clock. So you've got the 12 somewhere near your ribs and your 6 somewhere near your groin. And again, take your time to go across the handle of the clock. So not around the edge, but across the middle. Rolling between 12 and 6. So again, this might feel familiar because this is what we've been doing already. But is it a clearer movement? And again, we can then just relax into the middle. And we could picture the 9 and the 3. We could picture it saying maybe 3:15 or 9:15, whichever you fancy. And again, let your feet massage the elephant, and again, bring your weight into number 3 and into number 9. And again, come back to the centre and again go around the edges of the clock. Noticing how one side lengthens, the other side contracts. And again, you might have got that head nodding in agreement. The head is again incorporated into this. Little gentle nodding of the chin. And then relax. Let everything go. So let's stay again on the ground for one more little thing. And we're going to go into beads of the necklace next time. So I just want you to visualise your spine is made of beads from the neck all the way down to your tailbone. And your tailbone is that continuation of the spine. So let's start there. Pull your heels in towards your bottom. And again, that gentle push. You just want to stay in that bottom half of the spine to start with. Take your time just to go into the pelvis. Think about that as being one big bead. And as you push your feet gently away, start to pick up one bead at a time. And what I want you to do is just to take your time to explore the spine as much as you want to. So it might be you're gonna steer clear of maybe going too high. It might be that you're very happy to go into this. Just let your feet rest deeper and deeper into the floor. And to come out of it, again, just think about your hips becoming heavier and heavier, and that bringing yourself down to the floor. Again, each and every single bead needs as much attention as the last. So I don't want you to think about this as being a bridge pose, because in essence it is. I mean, you'll practice it in Pilates, you'll practice it in a yoga class. This is just about how you do it. So when you come to the end of it, again, just relax, let your feet relax into the earth. And again, just maybe question, can you do it with a bit more gentleness next time? Again, it's just that slow start of feeling your feet become heavier. You might notice that your knees are going forwards, not inwards. Again, take your time to explore each and every bead. Each one as important as the last. And to come down, feeling your ribs becoming heavier and then the hips becoming heavier. And let go of all that energy in the tummy. Let me have a little look at you all again. Might be that you're not going to come up too high. It might be that you're going to just stay on the ground and do little parts of it. Just maybe look like you're just levitating slightly off the ground. Okay, so when you next come down into, let your hips come back down to the floor from your bridge. Again, just rest into the floor, extend your legs out in front of you, and again, just take all the time you need to breathe. Just, again, this is your time just to sense and feel. Again, do we feel that there's just that little bit of more sensation, less tension in the body? Okay, so we're going to just find a way to roll to our sides and take a seat. And to hopefully a familiar part of the lesson to people. Well, Philippa was the only lady who came earlier in the week. tell you, I hold on to my hips and I'm like, yeah, they feel a lot nicer now. So we're going to sit, come here, I can't even speak, sit with our legs to one side. Again, comfort is key. So if you've got your knees to one side, your knees going, oh my days, what you're doing, maybe cushion it out, maybe even straighten that leg, maybe that leg's gonna go in and this one's gonna need some support. So it's just about being comfortable in your legs is the biggest thing. And then, I don't know which legs you've all gone for, but my feet are to the right, and I'm going to drop my left hand to the left foot. It doesn't matter which one you've gone for, just as long as you do the opposite side. So your feet are one way, your hands the opposite way. So this is my left hand, this is my right hand, and that right hand is going to my left ear. So it might be you've gone the other way, doesn't matter. And what we're doing here is letting your head guide the movement. So I don't want you to pull with your hand, that is not happening. You know, that is, you can, but we're not. Your head is going to lead everything. So the hand, where your hand and the ear are touching, take that ear towards the shoulder. And then take your elbow towards your hip. Again, but you're leading with your head. So your head is moving from side to side. So let your head move it. So I don't want you to think about pulling. Your hand is just there, just so that we've got a connection. So as you take your ear towards your shoulder, do you feel the opposite side kind of lengthen out? Because the hand's attached to the wrist, to the elbow, to the shoulder, to the ribs. Do you feel your ribs open out? And as you take your opposite ear to your opposite shoulder, do you feel anything happening in your hips? So I'm working with my left hand on the side. So as I take my left ear to my left shoulder, I feel my right ribs open and my right hip become heavier. And as I take my right ear towards my right shoulder, I can feel that the right hip kind of begin to float up off the floor and that side shortens. So let your head move your hips, let your head move your shoulders, let your head move your ribs. And again, slow the movement right down. Think about, can I do it easier? We can add in a little pandiculation if we really want. We could think about this right side, squeezing it in. You know, actively bringing it up. Tightening that right side. And then relaxing it and letting the right hip come to the floor. And again, we can actively think about squeezing the right side and letting the hip come off the floor. And finding that right shoulder coming towards the hip. And again, we can actively, relax those hips towards the floor. And again, then we can just come back to softness and letting the head lead with it. Letting the head come to the shoulders and letting the head move the spine. And you start to feel that your spine is just wiggling around like a little snake. And again, slow the movement right down. Ask about being that little bit more gentle. So shall we pause? Which is, I love this. Like I say, I've got up this morning, the last few mornings, and just got on with this. I think it's been so nice. So we're going to just take the hand away from the ear and just let that shoulder relax and let the neck relax. And then bring your hand up in front of your chest. So just, I keep thinking about if you're a puppet. So, you know, puppets aren't rigid. They've got floppy arms. The only way that they're rigid is there'll be a string there to move them. So imagine that you've got a string at your wrist. It's at the ceiling. You know, let your elbow feel nice and loose. Maybe have a wiggle of it and think about the elbow being nice and loose. And you've got the hand in front of your chest. And we're still leaning into our left hand. And what we're going to start to do is begin to turn the chest around towards the left. So again, I don't want you to think about leading with your head. Just keep looking at your hand. Imagine that you've got something beautiful, cute, amazing on your hand. It could be anything. I mean, for some reason today I was saying, imagine you've got like a gerbil on your hand. You might hate gerbils. It might be a ladybird or blue tits. I've been looking at blue tits. No one can be scared of a blue tit. Imagine you've got a blue tit just resting on your hand and you don't want to scare it, but you want to move it. So we're going to begin to turn the chest to the left. Keep the hand in front of your heart, gaze at the hand, and let your chest turn. And obviously we're not going into pain, that is something we never do in this lesson. And again, slowly take your chest so you're facing back towards the floor, towards where you started. And again, turn again. And again, come back to centre. We could maybe do this with a pandiculation. Squeeze your left shoulder in and allow that to bring you around. Notice your left hand is actually pushing away on the floor, isn't it? And then turn your head to look over the left shoulder. And then come back to centre. And again, we could do it as a pandiculation again. So squeeze your left shoulder in. Feel your left hand is pushing away from the floor. And again, as you turn, look over your left shoulder. And again, come back to centre, and again we could then just pause and think about doing this in a more relaxed way. Exhale and think about again, how can I turn without disturbing this beautiful little bird on my wrist? And again, tune into the sensations that you're feeling in the lower back and the hips. How does it feel? Are we being kind? Are we forcing? Are we being gentle? And maybe you're going to turn your head and look around. Oh, I can see my foot now, I couldn't before. Again, come back. So, maybe you can think about this now. The next time you turn, have a look around the room around you. And then come back to centre. And then again, be the gentlest you can ever be. Turn. Back to centre. Let go of it for a second. I like blue tits. It's like when you think about things like being a butterfly. Some people are terrified of things with wings, aren't they? My friend hates moths and she screams and she's nearly killed herself trying to get away from things with wings before and ladybirds. Next thing we do is going to go down onto side. So take your left elbow, drop it onto the floor. And I've been calling this the bad photo. So you've got your right hand behind your head. I've got a photo, my dad's got it, and I'm leaning against this car that we've got, this really old Ford Escort, and I'm like this on the boot, posing with this car. So it's a bad photo. But just again, find just that comfort in the shoulder, and then we're going to look at the right shoulder, and we're just going to begin to turn it gently again towards the floor. So again, move with that awareness. Exhale into it, and we can start to slowly again take your time to revolve your chest around. So again, it's not about flinging shoulders back. Maybe you can think about keeping your elbow in line with your shoulder as you do this. Turn your chest towards the floor. So again, you could get the elbow to the floor by bringing it down. So think about trying to keep your elbow in line with your shoulder or your ear. And again, turn your chest out. What I do like about this is you are supporting that left shoulder, so there's a little bit of work going on here to move, and I like watching what that left shoulder's doing. It's squeezing in gently towards the spine and it's sliding across the back. And also what your left knee's doing. Do you feel actually that as you turn your chest, your left knee is pushing outwards into the floor? And as you're taking yourself in, it's closing across the body. So maybe the next time you turn your chest out, would it be nice just to let that elbow actually come towards the floor? Maybe rest it on a hand. Let's take our time again to come to seated and just for a moment pause, rest in the middle and have a little think about how you are at this moment in time. So as you're resting at this moment in time, again, what is your body telling you? What is the feedback from the nervous system? So again, playing that little mental game of spot the difference. How does that right side compare to the left side? Does the body feel heavier on that right side? And in your face, do we feel any tingles and sensations? I don't like to lead you, but I'm right now thinking, ooh, what's going on in that right cheek? I must grimace an awful lot. So let's take this to the opposite side. So again, find that comfortable way to bring your feet to the left. Again, supporting the body in whichever way it needs. So again, cushion under the knee if it needs that cushion under the knee. Maybe extending that leg out, maybe, if that is going to help. So again, if you have got that little leg turned out, just let your knee roll with it in the movements that we're doing. So again, please don't fight the naturalness of the body. Yeah, that's it. I always forget because I've enjoyed that side so much. I'm like, blooming heck, what am I teaching now? There you go. So your right hand goes onto the floor by your side. And your left hand again comes across to your right cheek. So again, lead with your head. Take your right ear towards your right shoulder. And your left ear towards your left shoulder. Again, right ear towards your right shoulder. And your left ear towards your left shoulder. And I think this is really interesting symmetry again in the bodies. Does one side, this side might work better than the other side. It might be that you find there's a lot more connection to the movement on one side more than the other. It might be that one side's really hard to connect with. It might be that the whole body just moves with some ease and grace. So again, sort of moving the head and starting just to connect with this idea that the head and the hips are connected. So as you take your right ear to your right shoulder, do we feel again that weight going into the left hip? And as you take your left ear to the left shoulder, can we feel that left hip kind of rolling forwards and picking up? And as we take the right ear to the right shoulder, do we feel that left side waist lengthening? And again, the elbow and the ribs. And again, we could take this into a pandiculation. So I just want you to visualise the muscles down the left side tightening, squeeze them in, feel the left hips pick up. And then slowly relax them and let that left hip come to the floor. And the right side and the left side of the body open out, the right side shortens. And again, pandiculate, feel those muscles tighten, squeeze, hug in with the left muscles on the left. And again, then let go of it, let those muscles relax. Again, let's do it one more time. Hug the muscles in on the left. Again, then let go of it. Let everything release. And then again, just take your awareness back to the head. Let your head be the guide. Left ear to the left shoulder. Right ear to the right shoulder. Again, we could slow that movement right down. We could maybe pause in the middle and think about doing it so gently, the gentlest we could ever do it. Again, gently still, could you be even quieter in the body? And let's just pause in the centre, drop your left hand down, bring it in front of the body. Again, think about the elbow being loose and the wrist being loose. And again, imagine you've got that little blue tit sitting on your wrist and you don't want to drop it, you think it's so precious. We had one in our little nesting box and it ended up leaving because a bee moved in, but the bee was cute, but we do miss the bluebirds. Bluebirds, blue tits. So again, imagine you just want to take that blue tit around to the side, you don't want to disturb it, so we're going to slowly begin to turn the chest. Again, take it to wherever feels comfortable, don't force it around. Notice if your elbow's moving and the chest stays still, so keep that wrist in front of the chest and again bring it back. Again, imagine that little blue tape, you don't want to disturb it, you're going to move it around, maybe some food around there or some water, or maybe you're just trying to show it there's a really nice nest and it shouldn't be living on your hand. And then as you're doing this, start to notice what your right hand's doing, that it's actually kind of pushing across the body as you turn. And to bring yourself back, that it's actually pushing away from the body. So let's think now about maybe squeezing that, put it like pushing with your right hand. Try to push your hand to the left to guide yourself round. And to push that hand away to take yourself back to seated. And to push the hand to the left to pull yourself round. And to push the hand away to take yourself back to seated. And then we could think about squeezing the right shoulder in and look over the right shoulder. And to relax ourselves back. So again, just pandiculate. So squeeze the right shoulder in. Turn your gaze. And again, come back to centre. And again, we're going to go back to quietness. Just relax for a second in the centre. And again, that gentle turn. Turn the chest. Imagine sneaking around. You don't want to disturb this bird on your wrist. And maybe just again look over your right shoulder. Notice the furthest thing you can see behind you. And again, come back. And again, maybe we can use this as a way just to look around the room. So as you turn around next, look around. And again, come back. Drop the hand. And then take your right elbow to the floor. So again, we're going to move into the bad photo pose. So again, maybe I never thought about this, but keeping the elbow in line with the shoulder, like, imagine thinking your elbow is an extension of your collarbone. So start to turn your chest towards the floor. Ooh, that was a nice little click in my back. And again, taking your chest towards the sky, so turning your chest towards the floor. So again, think about the elbow being an extension of the collarbone. Lovely. Some beautiful movements from you guys, I'd say. Just relax again, the gaze, maybe soften into the eye sockets. And again, show that awareness to your right shoulder. So there's a little push of your right shoulder into the floor to bring your chest around. And just notice that you've got that squeeze of the shoulder into the spine. So again, we could maybe pandiculate this. Squeeze your right shoulder into the spine, let it turn your chest. And then relax it, let your chest turn back to the floor. So again, from your right shoulder, imagine squeezing it in towards your spine and let it turn your chest. And again, relax your chest towards the floor. And again, we can come back to the idea of gentleness. Can we do it with a little bit more softness? So again, visualize, letting go. And then slowly find a way to turn towards the floor. Maybe this time we can let the elbow begin to drop towards the floor. Let the forehead release forwards. And then place your hands on the floor. And we'll have a little sit again. So again, check in on how your body feels. How does it feel? So again, playing that little game of spot the difference. So, we're going to do something very quick for legs now. So again, Philippa should be expert at this one. So, take your left leg let's do it. I don't know why I've started with my left leg, but there we go. There's your left leg, it's in front of you. Your right leg, have it. It could be out to the side, like you're going to jump over a hurdle. Be a very small hurdle. I'm terrified of hurdles. It might be that your right leg is out to the side. I want it to be comfortable. We're just showing the left leg is where we're working, and it's just about having your knee in a different position. It does different things. Like, you know, you're going to feel that hip rolling backwards, and even if you've got your leg out, you'll feel that your right hip rolling backwards. And we're going to be coming forward towards this left leg. So whatever you do with your right leg, let it be involved in it. So if it feels good to, I don't want you to think, oh, I'm cheating if I let this leg roll. Let it roll. But that's actually what I want you to do. It's all about just getting some whole body movements, really. So if you've got your right leg out and you're reaching and you're thinking, oh, it's stiff, it could be that your hip's stuck to the floor, and let it come with it. So I'm going to have my leg there just because I like it there, but you don't have to. Your left hand, that's moving again, is by your left hip. There it is. That's hand, hip. There you go. This is your right hand. Hello. Place it on your left thigh. And imagine you've got the lovely, softest, hairiest legs in the world. I'd have. I need a shave. And all we're going to do is just caress your leg. Start to caress your leg. So be guided by your finger. I'd like to think about your middle finger being the guide of this. Like, in fact, bring your awareness to the what's it called? It's called a nail. Just bring your awareness to the nail of that middle finger and slide it down your leg as far as it wants to go. And then slide it back up. Sliding the hand down, maybe towards the outside edge of the left leg. It might, just notice where it goes. It might be right round by the ankle. It might be somewhere near the somewhere on the shin. So we're not straining, but all I want you to notice that as you bring that hand down, you're beginning to lean into that left leg. Do you notice your right hips become a little bit lighter, and that right side of the body is lengthened a little tiny bit? So, you know, be guided by your own sensation. There's no right, there's no wrong in this. It's just about coming to a natural stop in your body. And it might be that you kind of think that left side of the floor looks quite interesting. So you can always take the right hand off the leg and slide it down the outside edge of the leg. We could sweep it out to the left. So slide the hand down the floor and out to the left. Again, your right hip probably will be leaving the floor. And let it come back into the floor, obviously, as you come to seated. So let's place again this right hand on the left thigh and slide it down down towards the ankle. And as you do this time, turn your head to look over your left shoulder towards your left hand. And slide your right hand again back up your thigh, come back to seated. Do it again, be led by your right hand. So as you bring your right hand away, notice the elbow straightens, the shoulder begins to straighten. You're actually turning a little bit. Slide the hand down towards the ankle, notice that you're turning a little bit, and then look over your left shoulder. Look back towards your left hip. And again, come back. Slide your hand back. Do it again, middle finger. Really little smart little cookie, isn't it? Look what it's doing. It's allowing you to turn and to extend forwards and to look back. Just notice from your right middle finger how it connects to your right hip. That as you slide that hand down towards your left shin, you've got some beautiful space appearing down that right side. You've got a little shortening of the left side. Let your hand slide as far as it wants to slide. And look back towards your left shoulder, your left wrist, your left hip. And then we can come back. And we can switch legs. Taking your opposite leg out in front of you. Let that be your focus for a moment. Just pause for a moment. And again, find that good place for your left leg. It might be it's going to be out to the side. It might be it's going to be tucked behind you. Ooh, this mat. Carpets and yoga mats do not work in my mind. Anyway, right hand, right hip. Left hand, right thigh. And again, got lovely, lovely hairy legs and you want to explore them. I'm just going to start to stroke it. So again, be guided by your middle finger. And keep your awareness on the nail of the middle finger. watch where it wants to go. Imagine you've got something incredibly precious on that little finger. You don't ever want to let lose sight of it. Again, we can think that that hand might want to go onto the floor by your right leg, and again slide it down towards your foot, and again slide outwards. Let your left hip leave the floor as it does it. So sliding down towards the foot and again outwards. Do it a few times. I don't know about you, but I've sometimes lost earring backs or pins and things like that, and the only way to find it sometimes is just to slide your hand on the floor. Have a little think about if you could sense something beneath your palm, something that you need to discover. And again, we can drop the hand back up onto the thigh, and again come back to where we want to slide the hand. So again, start with the middle finger, notice the elbow, notice the shoulder, that we're actually turning. Again, we can begin to look over the right shoulder. And find yourself coming back to centre. So again, just in your own time. I mean, I'm giving you lots of guidance with what you can do with this, but just notice as you slide the hand down the outer thigh, you're beginning to turn. And again, just go to where your body is telling you to stop. And again, with that gentle awareness, exhale softly down. Looking back maybe toward, it's going to feel nice maybe to look towards your right shoulder. Maybe you can turn your head a few times and notice that connection between your left middle finger and your left hip. Again, slowly come back to centre. And again, start that journey again. See if you can do it gentler this time. Lovely. I can see that some of them are not going into the fold too much, and that's absolutely fine. We're working with that awareness of what is good and right in our bodies. And it might be you're going to keep moving. The movement is lovely. That's one thing I do like about this practice, that it can be like a moving meditation in itself. But sometimes it's nice just to surrender into that final destination again, just to stay with the breath. And it might be that where you've ended up is somewhere completely surprising, that you would never have thought that this would be where you were or where you'd end up. And then we can come back, and then we can extend our legs out in front of us and have a little lie down again. So release yourself down into the floor. Just tuning into, again, how we finesse our Shavasana, how we can make that pose a little bit easier. And again, we can even notice right now it's easier than when we started the lesson. So again, playing that little game of spot the difference. How do we feel that this body is compared to as it started? How do we experience it differently? So again, be there with the sensations. So again, just finding your connection through the bones into the floor. Again, your nervous system, how is it? Is it working overtime, or is it a lot quieter? Is the brain doing less? So all the sensations you're feeling right now. Again, this is the subtle body. noticing all the tingles, the heat, whether or not we're experiencing some of the things that Patanjali talks about of contentment, awareness. Have we quietened the mind? And all you're just going to do now is just take all the time we need to breathe. From the place that you're in now, I know some of us have our feet bent already, knees bent already. Bring your feet in again, just in front of your hips. Again, just come back to that lovely idea of massaging the floor, maybe that big piece of dough, maybe the elephant's back. Again, with that kind awareness. Pushing your heels away from the body. Again, pulling your heels in, and just again notice how the spine moves. Again, with that kind awareness, maybe just allow yourself again just to roll onto your left hip, pushing with your right foot, and again across to your right hip, pushing with your left foot. And then take your knees into your belly and find a good way to roll to seated. Ooh, I need to